Hi. Hello, you too. Let's get us live on Insta. All my emotional support beverages. Hi and hello. Happy Tuesday. Y'all, again, happy retrograde. Things don't always go the way you plan. I'm live and I'm late, but I'm happy I'm live. Happy Tuesday. Hey, how are we doing? How are we doing, good people? Happy 3-3. Welcome in, Cache. Good to see you. Happy 3-3. Happy eclipse. I at this point don't even know if it's lunar or solar, because I keep saying it's lunar when it's solar and vice versa. So it's one of them. Happy eclipse. Parshell and I were literally up at 3:33 this morning. Welcome in, Katrina. We're up at 3:33 this morning looking at the moon. Like good solid witches Morlocks. I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh Parshell, I'm gonna take you on your first little woo-woo adventure. Getting up in the middle of the night to howl at the moon. How are y'all doing? It's good to see you all. I'm glad to be here. I had the most insane day, and things always kind of sometimes go one way or another. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get a chat with you all in today, continuing this conversation that we've been having over on YouTube Live around the fire horse and how the fire horse year shows up in your business, and it has led us to a conversation about what I consider to be the future of business and speaks to a bit of some of the crunchiness that we're seeing in business right now. So that's what I'm here to chat about today. But we're going to start off with our check-in like we always do. If you've never heard me before, if you don't even know who I am, my name is Portia Michelle Oshimare. I am an experienced designer, a business strategist, and head cousin at the Business Cousins Collective, which is a collective of called to contribution leaders out to do real good in the world with the work that we do and do it together in our little community called the Business Cousins. I am head cousin over there. And I come to you every single week to have a conversation that I think will be forwarding what we got going on in business, and to give us an opportunity to check in. I ask that every single week you lay a hand on the body somewhere if you can, but at least lay your awareness on your body and we tap in. How are you doing for real is always the first question. How you doing for real? I'm like a little off the side. I feel like my hair is doing a thing. Trying to be live in two places, but we're there. How are you doing for real on this eclipse day? I know that eclipses can bring up all sorts of energies. I know quite a few folks are in the camp of like spurt of inspiration. Things are finally moving. They may be going my way. And then some of us are like, I feel like I got ran over by a car today. I'm exhausted. And I have this random cough that feels like a cold, but doesn't go away, but it's in my chest. And I don't know why. I know that's me personally. But I know I'm not the only one. Or you may be somewhere, anywhere in the middle, or somewhere completely different. But I want to know from you, how are you doing for real? You're welcome to let us know in the chat, or let us know in the comments if you would like, if you're watching this on the replay. But I want you to let yourself know first. How are you doing for real? What is the inner landscape of you? Taking a breath here. Check in. How you doing for real? And then we always ask, what do you need from you this week? If you think about your calendar, think about what you've got going on, what do you know that you need from you? Now, I didn't say you had to give it to yourself. I just said this is an opportunity for you to express your need based on how you're doing for real. This is an opportunity to express your need. And then from there, the next question always is, what is one thing that you can commit to meeting your need today? What is one thing that you can do? Cache says, I feel like I got ran over by a semi right over my chest, but I am working on intentional gratitude. Friend, when I tell you, these emotions can be like Mentos in a Coke bottle shake and can feel just like, woo, right? A lot of energy seeing you in that space, right? Can you assess a need and meet that need today? It sounds like, right, making some space to be in intentional gratitude, one fantastic action to meet that need of overwhelm, but being in there. And also, the next kind of lane to this is then we look to the business, right? How's the business doing for real? And what does the business need from you this week? And particularly if you're feeling like you got hit by a semi, right? For a lot of us that are feeling some of that intense overwhelm, that has to affect how we show up in the business in the next week. right? I think that we are speaking of the future of business. The future of business is not overriding your nervous system to be in some sort of provision or service, right? One of the big mantras we've been talking a lot about as a family here on Instagram Live is that, that mantra of we will not sacrifice our wellness to create wellness for others. Shout out to Jazz and Lust and Charlie and Akko, all the folks together. We had to put together a bit of a committee around creating wellness events for Black women, and it came out of that conversation. I am not sacrificing my wellness to create wellness for others. And if this is a week where your wellness needs to be the priority, can we make sure that whatever we do in the business is reflective of that? So moving on over to the business check-in, right? How is the business doing for real? What does the business need from you this week? And what is one action you can take to meet the business need, right? If the business is running as fast as you're running and things are feeling overwhelming on one side, maybe simplicity and a spirit of gratitude could be the one thing that you do for yourself and give to the business, right? And maybe a spirit of clarity. It seems like every speaker is on and it's on loudspeaker. What's one thing that I can focus on, that I know that I can complete and receive the blessed dopamine of having done so? Right? Depending on what you got going on with you and your business, right? So the thing I always ask is that we look at both. You are a person and there is a business. And today we're kind of having this conversation around good and contribution and the future of business. And I think that in some ways, a lot of the time, the future of business is not overriding your personal self to be able to meet a business need, a success metric that may or may not be your own. And I think that is of interesting conversation. So take your time to check in. And as I'm getting into this conversation today, that's what's on my mind to talk about. I have been downloading in so many conversations, sitting in my own space around my own business, and just feeling this crunch from everybody. This interesting feeling of just like, ugh, there's an ick in the space. And I think that with Epstein files being released and with quite a few of us sitting in the nature of disdain that we have for this quiet background oppression conversation that keeps us in a lot of the places and makes the world look like a place that a lot of us don't want to live in right now. And I think for those of us who own businesses, it's an interesting place to stand in because the empire and the infrastructure around us is falling. But some of us need that empire and infrastructure to eat because that's where our businesses are landing, right? And it's this interesting juxtaposition of how do I divest from this energy and also sustain what it is that I do and where I go? And I'm absolutely not proposing that I have answers for that question, but I do have some inquiry, and I have some thoughts about where I think we can stand in the process of it all. And I do think that what's been on my mind lately is that a lot of us, and I said this on the last live, have this capitalistic, oppressive bedrock with which all of our businesses were built in, because that's where a lot of our countries were built in. And if we desire to do something different, it's going to require that we move different, that we act different, that we have a different set of bedrock, right? So what does that actually look like? Welcome in, Parshell. And one of the things that I have been thinking about, in conversation around, I'm starting to see all this content that people are putting out of like, we've only been in this country, if you're in the United States, for 250 years, and it's only been like less than 1,000 years that we've done business, quote unquote, the way that we have done business. And there were 9 to 10,000 years, even maybe more, depending on how you capture how long time it is, where we did things in a different way. What is different about how things worked then versus how things work now? And I think that there's a lot we can learn from some of those places that will really inform how we can do business in a way that actually feels good. I think about the fact that like only in the last maybe 20 or 30 years did it get popular to run a business. And I think that in the last 15 to 20 years, there's been this interesting influx of business owners around online business. These tech bros, these tech oligarchs have infiltrated what it means to do business in a way that I'm not necessarily sure that we're benefiting from an ethos perspective. I think that there's a lot of technological advancements that we can lend to that, but there's also some interesting mindsets that we pick up from the tech space that I think get on everything else that I just don't know if they're really serving us. One of those things is this model of building things that are meant to break, of having extractive service providers that go in, get everything that you can get and get out. It's so common in our coaching and consulting industry now to have people who, will focus on a particular target market and audience. And then when people realize that, they paid $25,000 a year to be inside of a program for something and they didn't get the result and they no longer can tap on, teachers, then they go pick up and move to military people or go pick up and move to solopreneurs. And it's like this interesting locus of going from area to area, sucking out every single bit of nutrient that you can, and then moving on. Sounds like something I know of. A little bit like colonization, a little bit like industrialization, a little bit like some of the things that we know are not generative in nature, surely not generative in society, surely have not necessarily gotten us to a place where we really want to get. And for those of us who are doing the work of wanting to live out our good with our business, we want it to feel good. Half the reason why we left the 9-to-5 places that we left was so that we could build something that felt like it was in our image, in our likeness, that we could feel good about doing every day. But the rule book, the learning pool, got a little piss in it, a little tech dude piss in the learning pool, that it's kind of difficult sometimes to separate yourself from. And so I say all of this to say, in context, I think that we've been given a broken model for how business should be done in the last couple of years, from how online business has been moving. And I think that we as a people are over things that feel exploitative and extractive only. When the nature of business before that, and before that, and before that, and Malcolm and Maisie, before that, the nature of business was about finding a problem and solving it well. Your great grandfather had a business, your great father's business, maybe was a carpenter, and said, I'm going to build a table that's so good that you can keep it in, your family for lifetimes. And it was a badge of honor that people would have these tables and pass them on to their kids and their grandkids. And that was considered doing good business. Good business was centered in doing good. Good business was centered in finding a community and contributing so well that that community then contributed back to these people. Now, again, I ain't talking about the 1% businesses, because clearly, Epstein-ass businesses are there to do Epstein-ass shit. So, I can't talk about those businesses, but that's not the majority. Again, the literal nature of the 1% is that it's not the 99. The majority of people doing business wanted to support their communities, wanted to solve a problem, and wanted to be taken care of really well in the process. Now you juxtapose that with folks who have ancestry like mine, right? You have ancestry of enslaved Africans. You have ancestry of enslaved and oppressed people. You have ancestry of women that have millions of years of invisible labor. You can also pair that with a people who have been trained to overgive and never receive, to overgive and servitude to be this thing that is exploitative in and of itself. Because there's one side that wants to do all of the taking and none of the giving, and then one side that's doing all of the giving and not being reciprocated either. Neither of them are good bedrock for how to be in good relationships with communities in a way that business owners want to be in relationships with communities. Okay, Cache says, living back on the East Coast after years of living and working with Indigenous folks is doing a job on my soul. That and that. Cache and I have endless conversations about the wisdom that we've pulled from being amongst Indigenous peoples and seeing that there really is a different way to do that. And I want to talk about what that different way is. It really is in finding the good. Every single thing in nature has a reciprocal relationship with the energy around it. If it does not, we consider it to be a cancer. It does not have a survival threshold. Every bee and bird and plant has a contribution that it gives to the ecosystem that it exists in and receives contribution from that ecosystem as a part of it. That natural way of life doesn't change when we become human beings. We are still animals in that space. And I think in business, that's how it used to be set up. Indigenous business models look like symbiotic relationships. This is the support that I give. I am supported in the process. And I think that they've been centered around what good am I expertly designed to be able to give? What are my resources to be able to do that? And to whom do I want to do it for and with? Those simple pieces of a business model are missing in the way that we're doing business today. And I think a lot of us may not be able to name it, but we can feel it. Something just feels off. And particularly those of us who know that community and societal contribution is our work. Now, don't get me wrong. There are quite a few people on the planet who are only here to contribute to them and maybe just their family. But there's a lot of us who came here to be a part of writing humanity's relationship with the planet, overarchingly, energetically, systematically, infrastructurally, creating and crafting the world that we actually want to be in. We know who we are. If you on the other end of my live here, you probably them. Let me look in both cameras. Because we're the only people who are called to doing enough work, to spending the time, energy, and money of getting ourselves to a certain place, because it has to be for something, right? Don't get me wrong. I think, again, we get to receive so big in this life because of what we've been assigned to give. And again, right, those of us with ancestry of invisible labor, ancestry of exploited labor, we oftentimes have to work on our receiving button, right? The giving button we have in spades. But I think businesses can be off-centered. And I think that it really matters that we get a happy, balanced relationship of the both. Let me see. What else did I want to make sure that I said in this? I like to use the terminology contribution-centered businesses. When I use that word contribution, what I mean is finding your good. What is the good you're committed to seeing in the world? What type of actions are you committed to doing? And how do we create business models that support you in being able to do those actions on a regular basis? Because the truth is, especially in the West, most of us are going to spend the most time doing the thing that maintains our overhead, because we are in a broken society, and at the moment that's what it looks like. So wherever you spend all your time, whether that's at your job or whether that's in your business, it's going to be the thing that often takes the most energy. Can you use it as your vehicle for good? Welcome back, Tiffany. Good to see you. Can you use it as your vehicle for good? Right? For those of you who are working in institutions and companies, you do something magical for that company. You're the fantastic data person. You know every single thing about hiring the right people internally. You are been doing HR for 30 years, and you know every single thing about what culture creation inside of a company needs to look like, from the legal to the front. Who are you doing it for? And are you doing it for people that feel like they help you put more good in the world? If you have a business, right? You're a fantastic service provider, photographer, graphic designer. Again, you like Tiffany, have a fantastic coffee shop. That's here locally in town, right? Can you use your space for the good that you want to see in the world? And I think that a lot of us desire to do that. And it can be this thought process of like, well, I'm not a nonprofit. Baby, nobody said you had to avoid your profit for this. If anything, let's go back to a business model where you profit really well because you do such good in the world. We go back to our grandfather's table, right? Welcome in, Black and Blessed. It's good to see you. We go back to our grandfather's table as a conversation, right? Your grandfather would be, if I was a carpenter and created the table that gets passed down for generations, they're trying to find him everywhere they could. He's booked out with referrals months and months in advance because people want the table, because the quality of the product is so good that it has done such good in the world that it is now generative. It is now something that that person is going to profit off of, but the community benefits. And as business owners, I want us to get out of this tech bro mindset of going into communities, pulling and extracting as much as we can, and not considering what it looks like to be in reciprocal, symbiotic relationship with those communities. Serve them well, get paid great, but serve them well. And when we have to overlay the fire horseness of it all, y'all, right? As we're having a conversation about was the previous regime and the regime that we're coming into, what it looks like to be in the future of business is not to bypass and override your own unique brilliance and your own unique genius. And how do we get creative about making sure that it's the work you're here to do? The future of business for a lot of us is also making sure anything besides what you came here to do is finna fall off. Be ready for it, including where you spend the most of your time. And in the West, we spend the most of our time at work, whether it's for ourselves or for others. So be considering that if there is something that you are came here to do, your entire life is going to be moving and shaking to be orienting you to doing what it is that you came here to do. Why not let it be centered in the work that you do? And it doesn't have to be huge. I think about what doing good looks like in an office. Can you walk past the desk of somebody that is struggling with X, Y, and Z and leave a gentle word, because that matters to you. If what's really matters to you in the world. If mothers having a shot in a relationship with their children really mattered to you, can you spend a weekend every 2 months giving to a group of young mothers? Can you offer someone in your family an extra weekend day so that they can have a day to their own? And that's a mother right there that you can impact. We get this thing in our mind that you've got to be a big organization to do a big huge thing, to do real good. But to be also honest, you can do good in any capacity. Particularly business owners, we are uniquely positioned to do more good faster with less barrier to entry, honestly, even than the government at this point. Pick a community that matters to you deeply and look at how business models you can create that are centered around how you are wired and how you are designed can help you contribute to those communities in a way that makes sense for you. And if you're already doing that, right? How do we make sure that it actually feels good to do your good? What do we need? You need more money. Do we need a more profitable business model? Do you need more support, right? Do we need a more networked business model? Do you need more collaborators to make it easier for you to market? Do we need to make sure that, again, your network and the people who are doing the good that you want to be doing right alongside you are you're connected to? These are easy orientations once we can kind of identify what that looks like. Okay. We get up in the chat. Get up in the chat. Maisie, glad you were late or whatever today. I wouldn't have caught it. I'm glad, girl. Again, blessed are the redirections of retrograde. I hope that this meant that this was meant to get to whoever it was meant to get to. And Maisie, it was good to see you. Thank you for coming and checking this in with us. Okay. So again, y'all, this is the overarching conversation. I'm gonna really be talking through some of the practical logistical aspects of over the next couple of weeks. I really do feel like the future of business is returning to doing more good. Because this is absolutely, we have much more evidence that says that businesses ran better like this than we have of the opposite. We're just young. If you go back even a grandfather, it's right there. And the only reason why I'm mentioning men is because we're in the West and we're in business. But we can also consider our grandmother's businesses as well. Did you listen to my voice note before going out? When I tell you no, I did not, because I've been sick and shut in, and I'm a couple weeks behind in messages. But I'm glad to know that the call was a conference call. This is the other thing. Again, when I think about the future that a lot of us are walking into, we've been spending the last couple of years diving into our personal development, learning what a spiritual connection looks like, getting networked with the people who really matter to us, and opening up and figuring out the skill set of running businesses so that we can find more mechanisms and lanes to be able to get our good out there. This is that next step is finding the communities that matter, getting the good and what your role in the good is going to be, connecting with the homies to get it done, and being well taken care of in the process. That mending and healing that relationship with service and contribution. That is, I think, what I want us to be chewing on, chewing on, chewing on. Okay, let me see if there was anything else I wanted to mention in there. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about that. And the next time that we're together next week, I want us to start to talk about this formula that's been downloading to me around contribution centered businesses, right? Around kind of the parts and what some of the pieces look like, the vision, the design, the people, and the resources. I talked a little bit about it today. Next week, we're going to talk about it a little bit more in detail. I know I'm up here and I'm asking you to reimagine yourself free. For weeks, I have been saying, like Ebony Janice said, imagine yourself free. Allow all of this innovative energy to give a new landscape for how you want to be showing up to your life and your business as the thing that you spend a lot of your life doing. This is going to be a bit more of that bedrock. I want us to stay up here, get these new pieces in, and then integrate them into some tangible actions that you can be taking on a regular basis. So that's what you can expect over the next couple of weeks of hanging out here. Cache, I'm laughing. I can't wait to get into this voice note because clearly, again, we have some things to chat about. But let me also let you all know what is going on in the world of Portia Michelle, Business Cousins, and Squad. So I know we are 1.5 weeks out from our spring huddle. I have a feeling this one's going to be the one because a lot of us have had the most insane year. So coming together, getting together to huddle up, to decide what we are going to be focused on for spring. That opportunity is going to be next week on Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. PST. We're going to be doing our spring planning together on Friday from 2 to 4. And then we huddle up and do our overarching Q&A. Come ask us your questions. Come run your plans by us. That is all going to be happening on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on March the 14th. So March the 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. PST, we do our quick planning. March the 14th from 11 to 5 PST, we are hanging out, huddling, asking questions, talking to each other about our plans, making sure that we feel really good about the spring that is coming ahead. So that is the next big opportunity event for us to be at. I also want to let you all know, for those of you all who are interested in leveraging your expertise as a way to do more good in your business, Parshell and I at Oshimani Learning are actually opening up doors to a cohort called Expertise Activated. Expertise Activated, welcome in, Alexa. Expertise Activated is going to be on April the 15th. We are actively taking applications now. So if you know that this is something you're interested in, shoot me a DM. If you got my phone number, text me, or shoot me an email and let me know if you would like to get on the wait list for Expertise Activated. If you've ever wanted to do a leverage plan with us, but it just didn't necessarily maybe work out in regards to timing, we're going to be doing a lot of the work that would normally get done on a leverage plan in cohort together, starting on April the 15th. So we literally just opened up doors and we've already got some signups. So if you know that this is for you, I would highly suggest it. Business Cousins and Squad, I am holding 10 free seats for Business Cousins members to Expertise Activated. If you know you want one of the 10, apply sooner rather than later. I'm letting you all know, it's my first time even saying this out loud to this live first. If you know you want that seat, it is free and complimentary to your membership, but I can only take 10. Everyone else will get a discount on the membership ticket, but if you are in Business Cousins and Squad and you want one of those 10 seats, it pays to pay attention to the lives. And also, again, to be in Squad and on in Cousins and on Squad. Okay. So that I have coming up also this month. This month also, shout out to Alexa. I see you in the chat. We will be in South Carolina. We will be in South Carolina for the Women in Publishing Summit that is starting on, come on, move the calendar. Okay. That is going to be starting on March 26th, running until March 28th. We will be down there. Very, very excited to be in Columbia, South Carolina with the people. We just had our first meeting this week. It's going to be real fun. We're doing a Genius Games activation. It's going to be a wonderful place. If you are in the East Coast area and you can get to Columbia, South Carolina, and you have any questions about that, hit me up, shoot me a DM. let me know. I'm happy to pass you along to the team at the Women in Publishing conference because it's going to be so good. Fantastic, fantastic place, particularly for any of you all that know that you've got a book in you, you already have a book, you've put together something, and you're wanting to know what's next, where else can I leverage it? We're in the lab crafting a variety of experiences that you leave the weekend incredibly full with everything that you need to be able to get out there and leverage your message to more folks. And message is a part of the good that you do. And so I'm real big on that. So those things are also coming up at the end of this month. And I will say March 15th, Los Angeles, we're coming to you. So March 15th is going to be Sanctuary in LA. Those of you all who love to be at Sanctuary. Sanctuary is only happening with Kira and McKenna and the team at Magnolia Retreats in View Park, Los Angeles, once this year. Normally there's a spring and a summer, only going to be a spring this time. So we will be together on March 15th. I think it starts at 10 a.m. Again, if you've got questions about that, I will definitely be posting in my stories over the next couple of days, links to be able to pop into these things, but shoot me a DM if there's anything that I can do to make it easier for you to be at any of these bigger events. Come in, Roz. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, let's see. Now, in regards to Cousins and Squad events for this week, it's definitely a full one. So today at 1, Micah is hosting their Notion office hours. Come ask any questions about all things Notion. Tonight, Ashley has her last messaging office hours with us. So I believe, so it's going to be tonight from 4 to 5:30 p.m. PST. If you've been wanting to get some information from our messaging specialist, Ashley Cook, she is going to be transitioning on. We loved having her. This is going to be Ashley's, I'm pretty sure this one or April will be her last office hour. So come love on Ashley. Come say hello to Ashley Cook tonight if you have any questions about marketing messaging. And then tomorrow, 9 a.m. PST, Pia is running her automations office hours. So if you've got questions about automations, particularly if you are, like us and you got some information that the new Notion stuff is loaded, and there are quite a few things that can be automated and implemented in that. If you've got questions about that stuff, by all means, come talk to Pia, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. PST, tomorrow, March 4th. Micah is then hosting a co-work directly after that, from 10 to 12 on Twitch. If you've been looking to do some online co-working, you can tap into that. And then lastly, for Wednesday, March the 4th, Paya is hosting her office hour, all things operations, all things, how do I get these things set up? How do I optimize my email? Pop into Paya tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. PST. Then on Thursday, we've got Dr. Mynisha, 9 a.m. PST for the Lead, Live, and what does this say? Oh my goodness. I love the way she just renamed this. The lead, live, and leave a legacy. You better go. I love this. This Mynisha's office hour is all for our parent leaders. And so if you've got kiddos at home and you're trying to figure out how to be able to balance all the things, including creating that legacy with yourself and your business, come talk to Dr. Mynisha about those things from 9 to 10 a.m. PST on March the 5th. And then last one on Thursday is going to be Ilona's Human Design office hours. That is from 11 to 12 on Thursday, March the 5th. Ilona's office hours tends to be one of the most popular ones. So by all means, pop into that if you would like to know more about how to leverage human design for your business. Then on Friday, 9 a.m. PST, we have our Design Angel office hours. Pick our resident internal is hosting her office hours. If you've got questions about that slide deck, that PDF, that graphic, and you're not sure about it, want to have another set of eyes on it, I put it through AI, but can you show me how I would maybe fix it? Come and ask Pick all of those questions from 9 to 10 a.m. PST on Friday, March the 6th. And then I'm going to be hosting my office hour from 12 to 1:30 this week because I was out last week sick. Look at me, Alicia. Good to see you. So I will be there from 12 to 1:30 p.m. PST this here Friday, March the 5th. And then next week, we've got Merkaba Tech's normal Monday co-work from 10 to 12. And Jennifer hosting her Come Home to Your Body sessions at 1 p.m. PST on Monday, March the 9th. These Come Home to Your Body sessions. Again, I take a drink, as we say. I am shocked every time. at how simple the things are and how profound it resets my entire day. Run, don't walk. Jennifer's Come Home to Your Body sessions, 1 to 2 p.m. PST. These events are complimentary as a part of the Business Cousins Collective membership. If you are like, hey, I want to go to these events, how come I'm not invited? You can absolutely attend any one of these events. So, Sia, I was just looking at you yesterday. Hi, love. You can absolutely come to any one of these events, but they are complimentary to Business Cousins and Squad. So if you're interested in being in Business Cousins or interested in knowing any information about that, again, shoot me a DM, comment cousin. I'll come find you. Sia, it is so freaking good to see you. We need a lunch. I literally seen a picture of you the other day and I was like, Sia's having a baby. Literally was with Parshell. I was like, I need to see Sia. It's so good to see you popping in today, darling. I am tying it down before I lose my voice for the rest of the day. 111, 111, as I say it. Goodness gracious, it's good to be back with y'all. I am feeling the kick in my pants of the fire horse and getting into spring. It feels like things are moving. I am wishing happy chaos your way. Wishing you the ability to be able to alchemize all that comes your way. Take excellent care of yourself this week. The energies are still high. Our bodies are still trying to orient and integrate all of that. Be well to you. And I love you. Have a wonderful week, good people. I will see you next week, probably at 10 on Tuesday. If we decide that we like this time, we know we may make some adjustments, friends. I don't know. Also, for those of you who've joined live or who are watching the recording, it would really benefit me either on YouTube or on Instagram. Please let me know in the comments if the noon time is a better time. I actually am thinking about doing like noon on Tuesday or Friday, but I kind of can't decide. So if you have thoughts about either of those, please let me know. Or if you have thoughts about times that you typically are available to watch a live, let me know. My calendar is, at this beautiful place where I can kind of schedule what I want, which has not happened in like 6 years. And so I'm open for once in my life. I might as well take it while I got it. Okay. All right, friends. Loving you. I will see you next week. See, I'm looking for that DM. All right. End it there. YouTube, once again, thanks for having me. So appreciate being here with y'all. We're continuing to moving through this series around the future of business and the do-gooder business, and what's available for us when we find that happy medium of creating something that we really, really love. We love running. It feels like us. It's designed for our strengths, and it's doing the kind of good for the communities that really matter to us, because that's the future. That's the future of business. Loving you again. See y'all later.